Hello Bear here, and I'm with you today for a tag, as you'll see from the title, by Mags Black, which is the hashtag Tarot Nerd, Tarot Geek, or Tarot Geek, Tarot Nerd. I can't remember which way around it is. I think it's Tarot Geek, Tarot Nerd. And I watched, I think it was Meg at Honey Rose Ritual. I watched her video the other day, and then I watched Mags's original video, yeah, so I just thought I would jump in on this because I thought it was a really fun tag. Excuse my voice. Goodness. Got a nice chamomile tea here on the go. I've got the questions written down on my typed up on my phone. Not typed up, I copied and pasted them. It doesn't matter how they got on there, it doesn't matter. This has the potential to be a really long video, so I'm actually going to try to keep it brief for me. So I am just going to dive straight in, and the first question is, which tarot deck for you offers endless interest or study opportunities, and why? And I've actually got two camps here. I mean, so many of my decks I actually don't know how many decks I have anymore. I've kind of stopped counting, but at least 150. That's tarot and oracle and Lenormand though, but the predominantly tarot. So for me, the sort of the big three that we think of are the ones that I always go back to time and time again, because they're like the root of the tarot and the root of my practice. And if I find I'm getting a little lost from my understanding of tarot or my passion for tarot, or if I find that I need I need a refresher, or if I find another area of interest within the tarot, I go back to these. So it would be the Marseille, the Smith-Waite and the Thoth. So the I have the CBD Marseille here by U.F. Bendov. And this is just, you know, a redrawn Camwan deck, I believe. And I can't hold the cards up too close to the camera because the software that I'm using has its own focusing situation going on, and it wants to focus on my face, but it doesn't want to focus on anything close up. And I'm not quite sure how to fix it without opening the camera up. I've done a little bit of digging around on the Tinterweb to see, but it seems to involve opening up the camera, and considering it's brand new and not cheap, I really don't want to do that. So yeah, so this is just your classic Marseille, and as I've spoken about on a couple of previous videos, I've really been sort of going hard on the Pip and Marseille again the last few weeks. I've just been really into it because of the Sesamero guy on TikTok. It's just sort of rekindled my passion for that. You know, the Smith-Waite, we all know what the Smith-Waite looks like. I tend to use, mostly for studying, I tend to use the Smith-Waite Centennial. I'm currently using the Moonbaby Tarot as my sort of Smith-Waite deck for study, purely because I just fancied a change, and I love the Moonbaby Tarot. It's Smith-Waite, but make it scrumptious. Make it lickable. Again, we've all seen these. I mean, I say we've all seen these, I'm assuming you've all seen these, but never assume anything, because you know how that saying goes. And then the Thoth. The Thoth is the one that I know the least about and have studied the least, because the Thoth only came into my life about a year ago, maybe just over a year ago. I think it was like February or March last year that I picked up this Thoth deck. I have the giant version because, well, I wanted to trim it because I'm not a fan of borders, big borders, or keywords, or all the associations and things like that. But actually, I've come to really love it. This is a card I was talking about with some tarot peeps the other day, so it's right on the top. But again, it's a classic at this point, and offers endless opportunities for study, because every single square inch of it is jam-packed with information. Made me think of Mistress Ray's video the other day about how she struggles with the Thoth. She doesn't know if she wants to keep it, because she just finds that knowing that there's so much jam-packed into it actually makes it just a bit much and over the top. And my comment underneath was, I think that was kind of Crowley's intention, to be sort of elusive and obtuse and you know, a bit of an edgelord and a bit like, well, you wouldn't understand, you know what I mean? But 3 decks, when I thought about it, there's 3 decks that I come back to again and again and again. They're almost like comfort decks. One of them a little less so than the others, but I am fixing that this year. But, you know, I've still gone back to it again and again. The first one being the Sasarai Beto Tarot by Stacey Barrington. I think I have the second printing, I believe. Second or third printing. I can't remember. I think it says it on somewhere. It doesn't matter. It's well loved. I would love a copy of the Traveller's Edition, which is the mini version or the pocket version, and I would really like just a new copy of the standard size, purely because the gloss, not a massive fan of the gloss, but you know, maybe one day down the line. I don't understand how this hasn't been picked up mass market. I mean, some of the decks that I've seen that mass market people are putting out, it's definitely improved, and they're definitely getting, you know, they're getting better and there's more choice. But some of them are just so, some of them are a bit fluff or a bit sort of tenuous, or it's like an amoeba that's been doing tarot for about 3 months has got a tarot deck that they're writing a book and they've got an artist to a tarot deck with it, and I'm like, but Stacey Barrington did such a good job with this deck. It's pretty much Smith weight. It has some Pippish minors, but it just, the way that it reframes a lot of the cards is really, really beautiful, and really, I feel like this is a kind of deck that holds space. I mean, look at this. I love the age diversity in this deck specifically. You really get to see some lovely characters in here. It's very comforting. This has definitely become a comfort deck for me. So yeah, much love to this particular deck, for this particular deck. And then another one that I keep going back to, and was the deck that I used the most last year, I think, pretty much, other than like Marseille decks, is the Numinous Tarot by Cedar McLeod. Again, I would love a newer version of this, which is in the sort of semi-matte or semi-satin linen cardstock, so it's not quite so glossy. Again, this is another beautiful, diverse. This one is uses completely ungendered language. All the suits have been renamed. Loads of the cards have been renamed, like the majors. All of the court cards have been renamed. But actually, I think I've been using it long enough now to be fine with that. It was a learning curve, but actually it wasn't as steep a learning curve as I thought it was going to be. If I haven't used it for a wee while, it might take me a moment to sort of sit into that and recall what's what, but actually, for the most part, just looking at the image tells you, you know, if you're unsure. But again, a really lovely reframing of the Smith-Waite system. And yeah, because of that reframing, it gives a lot to dig into. The guidebook's really good as well that comes with it. And then the third deck that I sort of keep flitting about and coming back to and really looking forward to digging into, and I've actually ordered the pocket version of this, which should be with me in a couple of weeks, because I think it was Wordery or Book Depository. They tend to be quite slow, but they had a good price, so I ordered it. And it's the Next World Tarot. This is the indie version that Simon at the Hermit's Cave sent me. And it's the only copy that I have at the moment. Again, I would like to get a mass market version because it's not glossy, and I would possibly trim it so that I'd have the original, a trimmed version and a pocket version, but I'd probably keep the borders on the pocket version. I don't know, it depends what size the pocket version is in my hands. I might want to take the borders off. But yeah, this is another one that, and it's weird because I always say how I don't like chunky borders, and I don't like, like keywords or phrases or sort of extra information, because this has like astrological information and so on. But it doesn't bother me at all on this deck, weirdly. I mean, this deck is so, and the guidebook as well is excellent. It's framed in a very sort of social justice and equality and equity and sort of, yeah, just radical punk rock kind of politics and queer identity and just all those good things that I love. So yeah, this is like Another one that encapsulates, contains multitudes. I don't know, there's so much. Even just the artwork, it's a bit like Thoth in that sense that the artwork's really, really detailed, and there's always, you know, every time I look at a card and I think I know it and I've looked at it a number of times, I still seem to always spot something new, and I just think that's really, really cool. So once I get the mini version, I'm hoping to like use that as my little use this as my study version, and the little one is like my reading version, because my hands are quite small. I have to side shuffle this one because it's so chunky. I have to side shuffle the Thoth as well because it's so chunky. I'm just gonna put these down here. Oh my god, I think hay fever season is starting because my nose is starting to itch the last few days. So if I keep like bunny rabbiting my nose, that's why. Okay, the next question is, which tarot decks hit or miss your cardstock spot and why? Now, I used to be a real cardstock snob. I'm not, it doesn't bother me as much as it used to, and I think that's partly because I've just got better at shuffling. I'm better at overhand shuffling, I'm better at riffle shuffling and bridging cards, just generally, because I do it so often. Give or take the odd break that I might take from tarot, you know. And I actually think a lot of the main publishers do quite a good job with cardstock. Again, I will mention I don't like the glossy cardstock. I don't think I own a single Schiffer deck, but I do see that their cardstock seems quite thick and quite glossy. So there's that, and that's part of the thing that puts me off them, is their cardstock. I have one Hay House deck that was gifted to me, and that's quite thick and glossy. So yeah, I'm not a fan of glossy, and I realised that some linen cardstock is just so slippy that if the cards are too big for me to manage, I struggle to shuffle it and they just tend to fly everywhere. But there are a couple of standouts in my collection that come to mind when I think of cardstock that really annoys me. This is my Line Strider Tarot. I've had it for years. This was the first run that Llewellyn did, and it's got that like cereal board kind of cardstock. It's since been re-released with the magnetic closure box and the nicer, more thin cardstock. And I think what they were, I mean, I can still bridge it and I can still riffle shuffle and bridge it, but that's because I've had it for so long that I've beat it into submission. It took a while. You know, if a deck is taking a while to really break in for me to riffle shuffle, that tells you a lot. You know, like I can do it now, but yeah, it's taken a while to get there. And actually, it's so thick and cardboardy that it doesn't even have the riffle shuffler's bow. I have decks that I've riffle shuffled like just a few times and have had for a couple of days, and I get that lovely bow in it that makes it feel like mine. I know that makes a lot of people cringe. I joke that if I can put my deck down and spin it on the table because it's like it's got a pivot point, I'm happy. I feel like I've made my mark on it. Especially if I'm not modifying it in any way, at least if it's got a riffle shuffler's bow, I'm like, yeah, that's my deck. I'm quite rough with a lot of my decks. Not all of them. Some of them are a little bit more, I'm a little bit more leery with, like the Danilov, for example, because it's the second edition, you can't get it anymore, and the cardstock is very thin. I'm not going to be rough with that. But yeah, it's just not satisfying at all to shuffle. And yeah, it's only because I have beaten it into submission that I can actually use it. For ages I was like, I should just get a new version with the more shuffleable, flexible, but you know, it's got to the point where I was so stubborn, I was like, do you know what, no, because I kept not reaching for it because the cardstock was bobbins. You know, it's a real deterrent for me, and in the end I was like, no, I will not be defeated. Another one that drives me bananas is the Jonathan D Tarot. Talk about paper. My version is trimmed because I couldn't be dealing with, it's a small deck, and then it had really quite big artwork, quite big borders, white borders, and it was just too much. But this is just essentially, just look at that. This will not harm the cards. It is essentially paper. Slightly laminated paper. I mean, on the plus side, I guess it riffles really nicely. But I'm just, you know, I don't know. I think this is the Barnes & Noble's Tarot in the US, but it's called the Tarot Actually, it's the one that comes in the purple tin with the book. The book's pretty good, actually. I quite like the book. It's interesting. And it does like, it goes on to show you like card combos and all sorts of other stuff. I actually think that they do, for it being quite a small, thin book, I think they pack quite a bit of information, but the cardstock drives me bananas. And then I'm going to give an example of a more higher end deck, or like an independent deck, and it's an Il Meneghello or El Meneghello deck. It's the La Corte de Tarocchi, and I love this deck so much. I love this deck, but I mean, first of all, what? And it not only is it a chunker, but it's a really awkward shape. I call it the bookmark deck. Like, it's essentially a bookmark shape and size. And it's just, I can't side shuffle it because it's too skinny. I can't riffle shuffle it because it's too long. I can't get my hands around it. So I've come up with various ways of trying to shuffle it over the years, like washing it, breaking it down into 2 separate piles, and like overhand shuffling it, and then breaking those up into piles and hand shuffling it and recombining it. But again, it's a deterrent to me using this deck that I love. But at the weekend, I watched Julie at Peekaboo Rose's video about how she uses dice to read tarot, where she finds the deck really difficult to work with physically because of the cardstock or the size. And I was like, oh my god, I have so many polyhedral dice because I play like Dungeons and Dragons and Call of Cthulhu and all sorts of other tabletop RPGs. So I've got plenty of dice to have a go. So this is one of the decks, Julie, if you're watching, this is one of the decks I'm going to give it a go with. Also, I did share that video on my community feed because it did just blow my mind, and I feel like everyone needs to see it. And I know that it makes decks that seem unusable usable. Or another thing Julie said, if you have like a really rare, delicate or out of print deck, again, it's another way of using a deck that's you're really worried about handling too much. So you just use the dice to pick the card. It's really, really clever, really like simple, easy to follow. It's a really quick video. I highly recommend you go watch it if you haven't seen it. I'll try to remember to link it down below. But basically, I also wanted to add, and I did put this in the post that I put on my community feed, that it also makes tarot a bit more accessible for people that might have problems with pain in their hands, arthritis, or gripping issues, anything like that. I know you still have to roll a dice, but I think that like grabbing a dice and flinging it onto a surface is probably a bit easier than manipulating a deck of cards. I know that I certainly get problems with joint pain at times and inflammation in my hands. It's a fibro thing. I get it in my wrists as well. So actually, if I'm there's been times where I would like to read tarot and I go with a really small, easy to shuffle deck because my hands hurt. And I could use any deck with the dice system. So thank you, Julie. That's awesome. So that's tarot stock. Third question. How long have I been chatting? Nearly 20 minutes. Okay, let's do this. Number 3. Does size matter? Favourite shapes and sizes of decks. Smallest decks. Largest decks. Okay. I feel like this goes hand in hand with cardstock. Yes, size matters to an extent, but it also matters with what cardstock you're using. Because you could, like for example, I have the Jean Noblet by Jean-Claude Fromois, which is an independently produced deck. It's a wee deck. It's about the size of like the Kawaii Tarot. This is the mass market version. But the cardstock is so thick that it makes it really difficult for me to riffle shuffle. I can kind of manage it. I know Tom Benjamin can riffle shuffle his. He said that he's sort of beat his into submission. I'm not quite there with it. And again, it does make me a little less inclined to use. I'm going to sometimes pick other decks over it. And now that I have Tom Benjamin's Multi-Marseille, which is his redrawn version of the Jean Noblet, I've been like totally picking that one up over the other one. So I would say that it goes hand in hand with cardstock. Same if you've got like a really huge deck and it's got really flimsy cardstock, it's going to have no structural integrity when trying to shuffle it, right? So yeah, size does matter, but mostly in conjunction with cardstock, because even I've got a couple of standard size like Smith-Waite sized decks, but the cardstock is so thick that riffle shuffling does start to become a bit of a like it's quite difficult, you know. So there is that. I do have a particular size that I really enjoy working with, and that is, it tends to be like the Tarot Serene, the Marshmallow Marseille, the Kawaii Tarot Mass Market Edition, anything that's Tom Benjamin's deck that I've just mentioned, anything that's around this size or around a trimmed low Scarabeo size, probably no bigger than this. This is my Tower of the Magical Forest. Is just perfect for me because I have small hands. I do sometimes get pain in my joints, and I just but it has to have cardstock that I can riffle shuffle. It can't be like the Jewellery. If it's too chunky, it is a bit of a problem. Oh, I've just realised I've riffle shuffled these together, and I had separated the trumps from the pips so that I can do my like Marseille Tirage en Croix readings. Oh well, I can separate them again, it's fine. But yeah, so this size is just perfect. Another size that I really enjoy, which I was surprised at the size and shape of it, it's the Wild Unknown Tarot in a Tin. This helped make me fall like completely back in love with the Wild Unknown. I've always loved the Wild Unknown, but now I have the guidebook. I don't find the guidebook super helpful, I'm going to be honest. I do find it either a bit vague or a bit, I don't know. It's nice to hear what the artist has to say though for me, because this is Kim Kranz's book. But yeah, I was using this for some of my like profound and profane readings at the end of my lives. I should get back on that, shouldn't I? I should do them. But the cardstock is really, really nice. This is good cardstock. Like US Games does really nice cardstock. Who does this one as well? This isn't US Games. This is Harper One. And I think Low Scarabeo does quite nice cardstock, and I think Fournier does a really nice cardstock and nice size. Fournier tends to sit a little bit smaller than Low Scarabeo. Love this. It makes a really nice noise when you put it back together. But yeah, I really like this size. Any of US Games' Tarot in the Tin, my particular favourite being the Morgan Greer. That one was the Tarot in a Tin that I took about most with me when there wasn't a pandemic. Okay, and then I'm really liking the square of the Pathfinder's Oracle. It's really nice, and it is Andrew Swartz from Skull Garden. You can get it on Etsy, but it's square. But it's not, it's square, but it's not square because it's actually meant to be diamonds. Like you're meant to. There's no real right or wrong with this deck. It's designed to be diamonds, but they're squares. So technically, you could do it this way, depending on how you want to read it, right? But you get better reading because the idea is that you connect literally the dots. You've got different moon phases on each corner. And you've got sort of like, it says here, it's like positive, negative, passive and active, but I tend to try to use shadow and light, and then active and receptive. I just prefer those meanings. But yeah, I really like the way that it sort of, you can really play with some fun, like spread shapes and interactions with the cards because of the shape and because of this sort of, you know, moon phase thing going on, you know, the directionality of the deck. Actually, that reminds me, I also have another deck that I finished modifying. Let me grab it, it's just up here. I ended up making a little pouch for it during my Call of Cthulhu game. And it's my Albano Weight Tarot that I was modifying live on my channel on Friday. I just made this little thing, whipped it up while I was playing online on Friday night, and yeah, I did it quite quickly, didn't overthink it. The pouch is a little tight, I might have to do a slightly less tight one for it, but yes, it keeps it safe. Yeah, so this is the Albano Weight. I used a 2-inch punch. I was inspired by Liz at West Star Tarot. She was sharing the decks that she took with her on holiday, and this was one of them, her version of the circular Albano Weight. And you can literally just pick whatever part of the card that you want to use. And again, obviously, having the circle means you get directionality. I've not read with this yet, but I'm looking forward to giving it a go. So there's that one. I'm not going to faff with putting that back in its pouch for now, because that's going to be a bit of a battle, I think. So that's sizes, bloody hell, can I even get on with it? Hold on. Just turn number 4. Is there a favourite tarot artist, author, creator, publisher that you enjoy the most or collect, and why? Okay, so favourite mass market, I've already just touched on this. I really like what Fournier is doing. I like their cardstock, I like their card size. I like US Games' Tarots in a Tin. I think they're really fun and useful and easy for me to shuffle. I find that like the Llewellyn minis and the Lo Scarabeo mini decks are just too wee. They're just too small to be really useful for like taking out for readings, whereas the US Games ones feel there's still a bit of they're still substantial, but without being so small that you can't see what you're looking at. And then when it comes to artists, I would say I've just mentioned one of the decks, which is Andrew Swartz of Skull Garden. I have all of his decks. 4 of them I was gifted because I am very, very lucky. Thank you, Remco. Remco sent them to me a couple of years ago now, and I loved them. And I wanted the wooden tarot since forever. Oh my god, this deck. Oh my god, this deck. It has eyeballs on the back. If you don't like eyeballs or bones, you're not going to like this deck. It's an animal deck. It has a pippish quality to it. The suits are renamed. It's got a freaky, almost slightly sort of naturally psychedelic vibe to it. I really enjoy it. I still don't feel like I know it very well. I feel like this and the Antique Anatomy, I think they go really nice together. And I'm saving this one again. I haven't dug this one out to read with for a while, but I think this is going to be like a late summer one again with me for the Antique Anatomy. Originally I was using the Antique Anatomy at the beginning of last year because it felt like a wintry deck, but actually I found myself enjoying it more towards the end of summer and beginning of autumn, and I think that's what I'm going to do with that one and this one this year. So, but yeah, I have this. I have the Earthbound Oracle. That's not the Earthbound Oracle, which has the black moons and a nice. It's good because it's got a mixture of sort of what you would term positive and negative cards. Just checking I've got them the right way up. Creativity, Arcana, Wealth, and I just love the simplicity of it. No book with it again. No book with the wooden tarot, just really left to your like own interpretations, which I really enjoy. Although I don't use this lucky rabbit foot one because I don't think it's particularly lucky for the rabbit, and it just makes a vegan, guys. I'm a vegan and an environmentalist, and I just don't. It just doesn't make. No, I can't. I know culturally, I think it has a specific use, but it's also not my culture, so I don't really mind not using it, if that makes sense. And then I have 2 versions of the Lenormand. So this is the standard Lenormand side. This is so cute. Like, you will not believe just how. Oh, I'm just dropping it. I'm just gonna like cut through some of the cards. It's such a nice, it's such a nice deck. I believe it only has like 1 masculine and 1 feminine card. The flowers card I love because it's got flowers with eyeballs in, and I've got hair accessories flowers with eyeballs in, like this one you might sometimes see me wearing. So like, it's like my eyeball flower hair clips. So yeah, and then there's the very wee mini version, which is so cute. Oh, love small thing. Look, how perfect is this for the grand tableau, right? Also, the really cool thing is you can use a standard one to do the houses, and then the mini one to lay down on top for a grand tableau if you want to use the houses. I mean, how cool is that? It's just, I just love Andrew Swartz's artwork. I would love like a painting or something of his, or like I know that he sometimes paints on blocks of wood. Sometimes, like all his decks are painted on wood. So yeah, I have the full set of that, and then the other one that I probably have like there's so many artists that I love, but they only have like one deck out, you know, so it's not really a collection, is it, if you've got one of their, if they've only got the one deck. So that's literally all of the Andrew Schwartz decks, as far as I know. And then I've got, this is just some of my Patrick Valenzas. I've also got the Samhain edition, which was gifted to me. I also have the standard Trionfi della Luna, and then I did have a bordered version of the Deviant Moon, which I trimmed down to a square, but I didn't like it, and then I ended up using it in some like artwork and like using it within collages and things. And when I use things in collage for artwork, that a lot of it gets covered up with more collage and paint. So I don't know, maybe I would get the bordered version again at some point. But this is the borderless Deviant Moon. This was the first Patrick Valenza deck that I ever owned. I also have the big, massive fuck off coffee table book. And I actually think this is one of my favourite little white books. I think the little white book to this deck is really, really good. You know, there are some decent little white books out there. Don't always discard the little white book. Always give them a little look over. Like the one for the Halloween Tower is quite good as well. I have the original version of the Mildred Payne Secret Pocket Oracle, complete with all the expansions. So the backs are all different because I got different sets as they were being released. This is the front card. I always keep it at the front. And this is really fun because it's its own little oracle, but I also can sometimes use it as a Lenormand, and I've got a whole video on how you can use this as a Lenormand. If you don't have a Lenormand deck and you want to give it a go, or you don't have a spooky Lenormand deck but you want one and you have this. So I have that, which is just one of my favourite oracles. I've spoken about this at length over the years. The Trionfi della Luna, I've got here the paradoxical version because it's the one that I have out at the moment. And it's just the colours in this, the aqua, the teal backs, the pinks, the aqua greens, Patrick Valenza's cheeky take on the Marseille. It's just so much fun. Look at those colours. Yum, yum, yum. So, awesome deck. And then the Oracle of Black Enchantment. Just, I love lino cuts and wood cuts, which is why I really like Tomás Hiko's work, who did the, I'm looking at it right now, the Del Toro deck. I love me a woodcut style. So this deck is just hilarious. My spooky, gothy, witchy heart just adores it. It's so good. It's very dark, obviously, but well, it was Walpurgis Nacht the other night. So anyone that's seen Our Flag Means Death, this was the card I thought of when I saw that particular episode. So yeah, it's just fun. So yeah, I have a bunch of Patrick Valenza stuff. I don't have the, oh sorry if you had headphones on, oh my god, sorry. I haven't ordered the illustrated Peps. I don't know if Pips, I don't know if I will, just because I don't know. Would I in an ideal world order it? Yes. Can I really justify it right now at the moment? You know, no. And so I'm okay with not having it. It's not the end of the world. Oh yeah, so I've put the Deviant Moon down there. Any favourite art styles or themes? Again, clearly I like spooky, weird stuff because when I think about it, Patrick Valenza's stuff has a very dark edge to it. Andrew Schwartz's work has a very dark and creepy edge to it. And I really like, you know, some decks here that I've got. So the Zombie Tarot, which I will talk about all the time. I mention this all the time when I talk about decks that don't get their due, that are like overlooked. This deck is so clever. I've modified mine to make it look like it's been through a zombie apocalypse. That's why it's kind of a bit wrecked with fake blood and neon yellow slime and dripping on the backs and everything, because I want it to look like someone that's had bloody hands has handled it. So but this deck is so creepy, it's so funny, it's got a great sense of humour. Again, I think, yeah, like Patrick Valenza's art is dark, but there's humour there. And actually judgment. It's really smart. It's really well thought out. And it's got that mid-20th century artwork. So that's just one that I love. Always comes out for Halloween. Always comes out for autumn, really, let's be honest. Come 1st of September, if this isn't already out, it comes out. Another one that I've really fallen in love with, that I've had for about 18 months now, is the Tarot del Toro by Thomas Hijo. This cardstock's really nice, actually. This shuffles really, really nicely. Oh yeah, it's matte, and it's not too thick, it's not too thin. It's really flexible but feels strong. I like it. But yeah, this deck is great. I love Guillermo del Toro. I love spooky stuff. I think for the most part they've made really good choices. There are some like non-Del Toro characters in here. They're just sort of been Del Toro-fied, and I'm like, there could have been choices made that would have worked a little better, but it's not my deck. I didn't make it, and this has the approval of Del Toro himself, so who am I to, yeah, Crimson Peak. So yeah, I guess spooky shit. I've got the Tarot into D, which was new to my collection in January, one of my birthday decks. Gothy, spooky, creepy, Lost Boys references. I mean, there's like what's one of my favourite cards, if I can find it. This looks like Grace Jones, the Temperance. Oh my god, totally Grace Jones, right? There's just, the Death card is so fucking metal. Spooky. And the other thing that I really like I'm really loving like classic Marseille and historical decks. I really enjoy, like style wise. I can't believe I used to hate Marseille decks, and now I'm like, they're so beautiful. Things really can change, can't they? It's so strange. But the other thing, I swing the other way. So the other vibe I really like is just cute stuff. So the Tarot of the Magical Forest is adorable. The Happy Tarot is adorable. The Playful Heart Tarot is adorable. The Kawaii Tarot is adorable. I'm looking around me to see what other decks. The Oak, Ash and Thorn is adorable. I love me some adorable decks. They give me cute aggression, but this is spoopy, so it's spooky and cute and silly, and that's the Halloween Tarot. This is my tinned version that I've actually trimmed because I hated that it had the white borders. I do have the larger size now as well. I'm not going to trim the borders off that though. They actually don't really bother me anymore. I don't know, it's something about smaller decks when they've got borders on. It seemed to wind me up a bit more. I don't know why. Oh, do you know what I realised? I had 3 decks in front of me to answer the does the size matter and what are your smallest and largest decks, and I totally missed them. No, I thought I was jumping through this fairly quickly for me. So actually, yeah, smallest decks in my collection. Smallest deck that comes really small naturally would be the Mini Tarot. I can't remember the artist's name. James Nicholson, jamesnichols.net. You can get this on Etsy, I believe, and it's like little close-up snapshots. I was in the process of modding this deck and then got bored because I don't know if I will use it. I don't know. And then I keep saying I'll get rid of it, but I never do. I don't know. And then obviously the tarots in a tin are quite small. My Mildred Payne's quite tiny. The mini Seeker's Lenormand is very mini. But I think my smallest deck is probably, oh no, actually I think my mini, oh, they're almost the same size. I've got the Vanessa Tarot that comes in a tin by the same artist that made the Leonard Narciso, who did the Tarot de Maria Celia as well. But it's the Vanessa Tarot, and this is like my inner teenager card deck. But it was, the thing was, on the cards, the background of the borders had like a stripe, like a pinstripe to it, and each card had like a little offset background behind it, which made the card look like it was sitting on, the image looked like it was kind of wonky. It wasn't, but it just bugged me so much that I just had to trim it right down to just the image, because oh my god, yeah, it was really. And I've put the each card in permanent marker. You can just about see in the corner there, each one. So this is obviously the star. But yeah, it's so 90s. It's so my teen years. It's so and there's like Buffy vibes, and yeah, it's I mean, look, she's got the space buns. I still wear space buns now. My hair's longer again. I am Kelly Bear. Look, Bewitched. I was like, yeah, I was gonna say I'm Kelly Bear after all, so I need my little space bunny ears. But oh my god, it's so fun, and I keep it in this little box that I made for myself, that I decorated myself, which says "Keep Out" on the front, because it was like, and it's one of the badges I used to wear as a teenager, which is "I'm the one your mother warned you about," which is hilarious because when I got this, I was such an innocent little teenager. I was such a goody two shoes. I was like scared of everything. Now I'm scared of everything, but I mostly go fuck it, let's do it. And it's got like a chatterbox in it as well. Do you remember these? So yeah, this is what I keep this in. I love doing like little projects like this. It's like the little Mildred Payne Secret Pocket Oracle box that I made with all the little extras in it and the little letters and things. Oh my god, hours of fun. So yeah, there's that, and then the largest deck I own, we've already seen two of them, which is the large Thoth and the Next World. But oh my god, are you ready for this? The Alchemical Visions Tarot by Arthur Talsic is so huge. To be fair, this deck is created to be like an altar card that you use and you work with the card individually one at a time. Because can you imagine the size of the table you'd need even to just do like a 3x3 box portrait spread with this? Huge! I mean, I could technically do it on my desk, but I'd have to move everything out of the way. But it's got this wonderful, like, oh, wrong way, anatomical collage-y. This was originally an art project by Arthur Talsig, and then it got picked up. And it's awesome! And spooky and weird, because we love spooky and weird around here. Okay, oh my god, so that was me fucking up for a change. Missing a couple of parts of the question. Oh my god. Meow, 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 meow. Let me just pull the questions up again. Meow, 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 meow. Yeah, I've got some more spooky. There's another spooky deck, Bohemian Gothic. Cute decks. I don't know. Anyway, and then the final, so yeah, spooky art styles and themes. Spooky and cute, or spooky and cute. And then in what, and historical. In what ways are you a tarot nerd or geek with tarot cards, bumper stickers, branded clothing, jewellery, tattoos, deck collections, artwork, etc.? Well, as Meg, Honey Rose Ritual said, by virtue of having a tarot channel on YouTube, or a YouTube channel dedicated to predominantly tarot, that's pretty nerdy. A collection, check. Do have a pretty substantial collection at this point, which I sometimes can't believe. Like teenage me would be like, what, how did this happen? I have a very huge, well, not very huge, a fairly sizable collection of tarot books. I have tarot journals. I like to talk about tarot with my tarot friends. Yeah, I don't have any bumper stickers because I don't have a car. I don't, surprisingly, considering I've got quite a bit of ink, I don't have any tattoos, tarot tattoos, but I would like to eventually, and I have no tarot jewellery. I mean, what is that about? I surely should get some tarot jewellery at some point, but you know, tattoos and really nice jewellery, they cost the money, and if I'm going to buy something tarot related that's going to cost the money, it's going to be a deck. Woof! Oh my god, I was hoping I was going to be quicker than that, but alas, I tried, but I failed, but never mind. If you're still here, bloody well done. I want to say thank you to Mags for creating this tag, making such a fun tag. I will link Mags's original down below. I'll also link Mags at Honey Rose Ritual, so you can watch that one as well. And yeah, join us on the Tarot Geek Tarot Nerd tag train. I want to see what your answers to these questions are. And yeah, I guess I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. I'm gonna say ciao.